Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arkham Studios New Year's Eve showcase. Hope you're all having a wonderful New Year's. And today, we're going to get into some awesome stuff that we are looking forward to in the new year. First, I would like to start off by introducing myself and Arkham Studios. I'm going to talk to you about what Arkham Studios is and all of the individual subsidiaries. Now, you guys are probably watching on the Nerd Rage Network channel. Of course, that's where we chose to upload this today, and you'll understand why in just a moment. So, hi, I am Abe. I am the CEO, founder, and CCO of the company, Arkham Studios. Arkham Studios is an entertainment company. We are a small, very small, new up-and-coming company. And we are focused on entertainment and the entertainment industry. So we have three main subsidiaries, and each of these subsidiaries is a different section of entertainment. So we have Black Rose Records, Nerd Rage Network, and Vision Comics. Now, I would like to tell you just a little bit more about each of these individually. Of course, before we get into the big stuff, which is the announcements for each of the new upcoming titles and several other awesome new upcoming things from each of these subsidiaries, I just wanted to take a quick moment to explain what each one is, and then we're going to get into the fun stuff. We're going to start with Nerd Rage Network, as I know everybody from that channel who's probably clicking on this just to see what it is going to be more interested in to see what that, what's new coming from Nerd Rage Network. So we will start with that, but let's get into the quick explainers of what each of these companies is. Black Rose Records. Black Rose Records is a new announcement that we're making for the first time today. I'm really excited about this. So, I am a recording music artist who makes hard rock music and sometimes some heavy metal music as well. And you guys may know that from prior videos and old school content from my channel. I used to make music reviews and then music reactions, and I actually have a playlist full of original music throughout the years available on the channel. Well, this year I am getting more involved in the engineering and mixing and mastering and producing aspects of recording music. And this year I'm pushing myself to really hone in on this next grouping of musical projects and to basically establish my own little record company that is just sort of my own mini label. So I have been, over this course of this year, the music that I have been recording with Black Diamond Music Studio and Heavy Sticks Productions, that music that we have put out already is actually self-published by myself. So I wanted to not only do more of the engineering stuff moving into the future, but also do more of the publishing stuff as well. So I decided that my band, Black Cherry Rose, I would take that name and kind of use that name to form my record company, which is now Black Rose Records. So now, just to be clear, I'm not looking for artists or to kind of expand outward. It's a small label meant for specifically my music projects and music projects of friends and very close people. So, and again, we'll be working with other companies like Heavy Sticks Productions as well, and Black Diamond Music as well. But Black Rose Records is the new music and audio entertainment division of Arkham Studios. Then we get into Nerd Rage Network. You guys already know a little bit about this, of course. This is our video entertainment subsidiary, and we are primarily on YouTube. However, in the new year, we're going to be working on our first ever original scripted content. It's going to be amazing. We're so excited about it, and we're going to tell you guys a little bit more about what we're actually doing next year with that when we get into the Nerd Rage Network section. But we're also making some big changes on YouTube, and there's a lot to cover. However, so anything that is video entertainment related will be through Nerd Rage Network. Even music videos for Black Rose Records, as we've done already this year for the first time, will of course be shot and filmed by Nerd Rage Network. So there's Nerd Rage Network. Last but absolutely not least is Vision Comics. So I, let's say about 6 years ago, had an idea, a vision of a universe of superhero characters. And that idea grew when, including my best friend, into the project. We put our brains together and came up with an entire multiverse of crazy epic stories that are not all purely superhero genre stuff, but multitude of awesome, wacky, wild, and epic stories. And we have an amazing interconnected superhero universe as well. And we're going to be getting into all of that because we're finally ready to put out new comics this year. We're going to be meeting some of our first ever artists and getting our first ever artwork, and then putting out our first ever actual comics this year. And I'm going to get into the exact slate that is going to open up the Vision Comics storytelling. And I can't wait to get into that because it's going to be so fun. Now, also, with Vision Comics, today we're also announcing Vision Books. This is our new sort of subset of Vision, where we're going to be telling short stories, and books in a multitude of extra stories. Now, this is primarily for myself, and it is a very small subset of Vision Comics. And it's, of course, not actual comics. It's actual, like, books. So we're going to be getting into that as well today. So strap in, because we're about to move into Nerd Rage Network. Okay, so here we are, Nerd Rage Network. Okay, we are going to get into the individual channels first. Yes, you heard that correctly, channels. We're going to be talking about the awesome new updates to our content and what we're planning on doing with YouTube. And then we're going to get into the awesome first kind of look, our first crack at our original scripted content coming up this year. It's going to be really awesome and special, and we're really excited about it. But first, let's talk the Nerd Rage Network YouTube. So, the main channel that you guys have come to know that you're watching this on currently is going to be the first channel that hits a metamorphosis. This channel is now going to be known as Mr. Lincoln Strikes Back. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, what's with the new name? It was first Nerd Rage TV, and then you just called it Nerd Rage Network. Well, we had decided pretty firmly that we wanted this YouTube and our content to become a network, a interconnected web of pop culture content. We wanted to do different things and obviously have different content creators a part of this team. And doing that means we wanted to create separate channels for myself and my co-host, Bear, as well as a third channel that we're going to... I don't want to spoil anything for that because it's going to be special, so we're going to talk about that last. But we're going to start by talking about Mr. Lincoln Strikes Back and the Bear Essentials. These are two Nerd Rage Network channels that will be very heavily branded, so you know it's still Nerd Rage, and of course will be a part of our link tree, so you can find it very easily as well. Hey, by the way, description box, you guys are going to want to check that out because that's where you're going to find these channels. That being said, what is the reason for these two different channels? Well, should say three different channels. What are these three different channels and why? So we wanted to expand our content and to kind of change things. I wanted to focus on more things like movie reviews and that sort of content, to just sort of fun kind of theory-based content for the lightning around theories. Abe Reviews Shit, which is our new review series. That's gonna be really fun. Where I'm going to personally review movies and TV shows to kind of give you guys my thoughts on things, and it's going to be really fun and exciting. I can't wait to do that, as well as some other awesome new content that I've been cooking up that I don't want to spoil just yet, because I'm going to put out an entire big community post to explain all of the different specific series. However, Bear wants to focus on more community interactive and IRL based pop culture content. So on his channel, he's going to be doing things like our Taste Masters series, which, by the way, thank you guys so much for the support on that new series this year. It was something we wanted to test out to kind of dip our toes into and see how you guys reacted and see if it was something we wanted to continue to do, and we will. And by the way, just because we have separate channels doesn't mean we won't be on each other's channels making content with each other. Over there, I will of course be doing several Tastemaster episodes with him, as well as him coming over to do several episodes of different shows over here as well. But the difference is, with the two different channels, you're going to be getting more content kind of split across the channels to kind of do more to be more focused, and hopefully it's really about us being a little bit more passionate about the content we're creating, and to put more work into the things that we are really excited about doing. And then there's the third channel. Now, we're really excited to talk about this because, hey, you guys all have been wondering, where the hell is Nerd Talk? You guys have been talking about it for months, but there's no new Nerd Talk. Well, look, we had a problem with Nerd Talk. We have not been able to genuinely find our footing with that show. We keep wanting to do several kinds of different things with it, and we really wanted to split it up and to do different things so we could focus on different franchises per episode. And we just knew we couldn't do that on one single channel. So we decided that we had to come up with a new channel. That is called The Nerd Talk Show. The Nerd Talk Show is going to be our new combined home. This is where you're going to get the Nerd Talk series, but not just one Nerd Talk series, multiple new Nerd Talk series, including Nerd Talk Marvel Madness, Nerd Talk From Krypton to Gotham, as well as Nerd Talk The Rising Rebellion, and Nerd Talk Muggles and Mages, as well as other major franchises that will all be various Nerd Talk series. So each of these series, we're going to be focusing on a major franchise like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, obviously the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, as well as Resident Evil, and several other awesome, amazing franchises that we're cooking up. We can't wait to get into it, because this allows us to do very special geared content, not only just doing news, but we're actually able to do retrospectives. We're going to be doing episodes that will be breakdowns of specific things. Like for Star Wars, we're really excited about this. We're going back, watching every Star Wars movie one at a time, release order, and then we're doing a retrospective of each of those right after we watch them. And we're really, really excited about that, because it's going to be an epic time. There's a lot of things that I'm already ready to talk to you guys about and to kind of share my thoughts on. And I know Bear is really excited about this as well. So we're going to be doing that, of course, together. So you guys will see us both together, and then obviously the two individual channels as well, which you'll occasionally see us together, but we're primarily doing those solo or with guests. Now, 2024 is just the beginning. These new channels are just the beginning. We are creating the network. We're really, truly leaning into the network, and we can't wait to tell you more about the individual content coming to both of our channels. And as we know that there's a certain basis of over 400 subscribers here on the channel. We know that asking you guys to go to different channels and blah 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 is going to be a little bit of a challenge at first, and to grow those channels is up to where we are here on Mr. Lincoln Strikes Back will be. It'll take some time. So we're going to be doing some very, very, very special incentives for subscriber goals this year. We're going to try and get every channel roughly to about 500 subscribers by the end of 2024, and that's our big goal for 2024. So there you go. There's the YouTube aspect. So we got to talk about the biggest, the biggest content of the year. Our first ever original scripted content. And with our original scripted content today, in 2024, you are going to be getting 2 special pieces of original scripted content. One is going to be a little bit more not quite copyrightable, more of a fan project, if you will, because we're going to be doing something really fun, and we'll get into that in a second. But there's obviously also going to be our movie, our first ever movie. We've hinted at it, we've talked about it, we kind of announced it already, but we are doing the Nerdverse Saga, a 5-part, 5-film saga. We're so excited about this because it is very special. We are doing part 1 entitled Dark Magic Rising, where a group of friends who are all gigantic nerds who love the universe of pop culture find themselves in a scenario that only could come from a movie. They come across evil doppelgangers of themselves who just randomly show up in a twist of fate. And these evil doppelgangers, they incite some awesome and crazy shenanigans that starts off our epic journey. And you're going to have to find out more later in the year. We are officially entering pre-production right now. We've already started writing the script. We've already started moving and finding pieces to the cast and crew behind this film. And officially, we'll be leaving pre-production and starting principal photography in May. That's right, in May. And then our goal is to have this film edited and finished and ready to go by November. There you go. November 2024, quarter 4. It's going to happen. Dark Magic Rising is coming. But we got one more piece of original scripted content, and this one we're really, really excited about. It's fun, it's goofy, and it's inspired by our awesome time we had making our first substantial skit this year. We did a special Halloween skit. If you haven't watched that, by the way, go back to the channel and watch that. You're gonna really enjoy it. It's fun, it's funny, it's dumb, it's hilarious and very us. So inspired by that skit, we decided to come up with an original scripted series, yes, by the way, called Killer v. Killer. Now, Killer v. Killer is going to be taking your favorite horror movie icons and pitting them all against each other in a reality TV show in the style of Survivor, and they have to decide they have to fight to determine who is the ultimate killer. And it's going to be fun, it's going to be hilarious, and very, very comedic. It's something we purposely wanted to be really dumb and funny, and we just had this blast of an idea, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be so much fun to do. Let's do it. So this will be filmed and edited, of course, just after the movie, because the movie's going to be, it's going to take a little longer to edit, as it'll be a slightly more substantial, it'll be slightly more substantial. That's just the basic of it. So this will be coming out in October. It'll be premiering across October, and of course, I mean, it's the perfect time, right? classic horror stuff in the horror month. So October is when you're going to be able to see Killer v Killer. Now, that is the basis of our original scripted content, but you're also going to be getting on the Nerd Talk Show channel for YouTube, you're going to be getting several awesome, funny, hilarious, scripted skits that we are going to be putting together across the year. We loved doing the Halloween skit so much, and we wanted to do a Christmas skit, but we just didn't have the time or budget. But we're definitely getting into some fun and dumb and hilarious skit ideas that are coming up for 2024 as well. So there you go. There is the new upcoming 2024 content for Nerd Rage Network. Okay, so next up on the chopping block is Black Rose Records. Now, I'm really excited to talk about this because it's primarily on my band, Black Cherry Rose. If you guys haven't checked us out, we have a brand new record that just came out this month. It's just the self-titled EP. Now, we've decided to go with an EP format over an album format. This is very much so because we wanted to create more consistent content. Nowadays, bands do more singles than albums. A lot of bands, there's plenty of newer bands out there that don't even do albums at all. They just do singles, and it's more consistent. They do more. It's just music, a new song every every month or every other month, whatever it is. And they just continually release stuff to kind of keep their audience more engaged. We decided to kind of split the difference. We still wanted to have bodies of work, but we wanted to do something that we could release yearly. So a new record every year, being around 5 to 6 songs each in the EP format. So our first one just came out, and that means the second one's on the horizon. So if you want to take a look at this little graphic here, we put this together to kind of show you what we're going to be doing in the new year. So obviously we have 2 new singles, being Romanticide and Damage Control. We're really excited about this because we've done, obviously, Romanticide in the past. But Damage Control is a slightly lesser known song from us. It is a song that we really, really love and we're really, really passionate about. And we can't wait to record. Again, a lot of people haven't heard that one, so that's going to be our first major single in the new year. But we're also going to have Romanticide, which is a song that is very, very popular from us, that everybody's had a lot of love for since we released the original version. But we have obviously much more new tech and much better, higher quality sound, and just so much new stuff that a remake of this song is absolutely necessary, especially because the self-titled EP that we just did is serving as our kind of new kicking off point. Our new starting off point we consider it our debut EP. So everything that kind of came before that is just stuff we had just recorded before. So the new version of Romanticide will be the second single coming from us in the new year. That being said, we have 2 major projects, first of which is literally coming at the end of January here. We're really excited about it. It's the deluxe edition of our self-titled. So this is going to have 2 extra bonus tracks and our making of documentary that we did over the course of the entire recording of this EP will also be launching on the same day that the deluxe edition comes out. We're really excited about that. But then, later in the year, we're getting into it. We're really excited. BCR 2, we've already written most of this record. We got probably like a song or 2 away from being completed on the writing aspects, and we're already going to be kicking into gear with recording very, very soon. February, so probably March is probably when you're going to hear Damage Control, and then we're shooting for an October, November release of BCR 2. That's kind of our goal right now. But yeah, we're just so excited about that. But hey, Black Cherry Rose is not the only musical project I have. And I know you guys are wondering, I know there's some of you out there wondering, hey, where is A Fallen Eden? Where is the Metal Project? When is the Eternity remake coming? And hey, I've got some answers for you. I'm really excited to let you guys know that initially the acoustic version of the Calamitous one is going to be releasing as a special release in February to mark the 5th anniversary of Eternity. And then over the summer, I'm also planning on releasing a special single, a brand new single. It's a song you may or may not have ever heard before from us. And I'm really excited to release that as well. But the Eternity remake, that's the big ticket item from A Fallen Eden. So where is that? Well, I don't necessarily have the time to complete it all in 1 year because it is a much bigger undertaking. There's a lot of that album I have to relearn on guitar. There's a lot of things that I want to do and to prop it up, to build it up, and to make it so much better and worth the remake. There's just a lot that I have to do, so I'm planning on it being a summer 2025 release. We're planning on my birthday of June 28th. I believe I could be wrong on that date. We'll get there. We'll get there when we get there. We're really excited about doing that as well, and I'm also looking for a new drummer to obviously do the drum tracking for that record. That is the biggest and most important piece to that. Of course, I can do everything else on my own, but the drumming is the special part of that record that I have to find the right musician to collaborate with and to get involved on that. So there you go. There's A Fallen Eden. But hey, one little last tidbit. I have an acoustic record that is just me playing guitar and singing, and it's got some percussion, it's got some bass, and it's awesome, and it's inspired by the amazing band Days of the New, and I chose a title that is actually based on a Walking Dead comic for the band's name. It's called Days Gone By, and I am working on It's written, it just needs to be recorded, and it's going to be coming a lot sooner than you think, but the Days Gone By self-titled debut record is coming soon. So there you go. There is Black Rose Records. Now let's get into the biggest and craziest and most exciting, at least for me, section of this video. Okay, here we are. Vision Comics. Wow, I can't believe we're finally here. This is actually finally on the horizon. The scripts are actually being written, and the stories have been formed. I'm so excited to tell you guys, for the first time, a lot of information about Vision Comics. What is Vision Comics? What are the imprints? What are the comics? What are the stories, and how are you doing each of this sort of crazy new comic book endeavors? Well, there's a lot of information, but I'm going to condense it down into some very easy to digest things with some awesome little graphics I cooked up for you. So let's get into Vision Comics and its imprints. Okay, so Vision Comics is made up of four different imprints. Each of these imprints is where sort of the storytelling kind of takes place and how to categorize it for us. So we have Vision Prime. Vision Prime is the Prime universe. This is where our Prime interconnected, awesome superhero story is all taking place. This is the main Earth of our multiverse. And it is sort of the home to our biggest and hopefully most popular characters. We're really excited about this because there's a really cool story that we're cooking up that will span for many years to come and across many, many titles. We're really excited about this. So Vision Prime is the first major imprint, and then it's followed up by Vision Upax. Upax stands for Upexium, which Upexium is the name of the dark magic of the Vision multiverse. It is the strange and wild world of dark magic, the gothic horror, the darker aspects of our storytelling, the fun, wild, weird, wacky, macabre. This is our awesome sort of underground, dark label. This is where you're going to get into some fun stuff that I can't wait to tell you guys about. Some of it we can't really talk to you about right now because it's still in the idea phase. It's still in the we just have a plot synopsis and who the characters are phase. So we haven't really gotten into the deep divings of a lot of it. But however, you're going to see some of the Upexium magic in some of our other titles, including the we'll get into the multiverse imprint here in a minute, but we'll also the Vision Prime imprint as well. So the Upexium magic is a part of the fundamental makeup of the Vision multiverse. And speaking of the Vision multiverse, we got into probably the most exciting imprint is Vision Infinite. Vision Infinite is about the multiversal stories that don't take place on our Prime universe. This is where we're going to get into one of our biggest and one of our craziest and most wild, wacky, and eccentric franchises that we have built under Vision Comics. It is there's some really, really special stories that we can't wait to tell you about, and we're actually going to tell you about some of them today. And I'm so excited to really get into this. This is the home of a multiversal story that is just balls to the walls crazy. It is epic and wild. But then there's our fourth imprint, Vision Exiles. Vision Exiles are standalone stories, not a part of the multiverse. This means these are stories that will be completely separated, completely isolated, and special and unique all on their own. You don't need to read any other comic ever. You can just jump in and enjoy what Exiles has to offer. Exiles is our smallest imprint and will have the fewest stories, but will probably have some of the highest quality stories, as these are our very, very special stories. So there you go. There are the imprints. Now let's get into Phase 0. With our grand interconnected world in Vision Comics, we knew we wanted to do something that was sort of felt inspired by the comic book industry and the way it's changed because of the movies and TVs and interconnected worlds that we have grown up with as authors and writers, sort of growing and kind of evolving, and to try and do something that was uniquely us. So we created a phase system that is similar to, but not quite exactly like, Marvel in the MCU. We have created a special, just grand interconnected story that will end likely when I decide to retire from writing and decide to, or more specifically, I decide to retire as the chief creative officer. When I decide to step down as a creative officer, that will be the end of my grand interconnected story and be the end of at least the initial phases of Vision. So we have to start somewhere. So we're starting with Phase 0. This is the Origins phase. This phase is known as Genesis, and there's a very specific reason for that. And you'll also notice something else has that subtitle in this phase, there's definitely a reason for it. And we've created a bunch of unique rules and sort of world building. Just a lot of things built into our world that kind of explain our world in a unique way. And we wanted to do that to kind of give us a reason to set apart from the Marvels and DCs and Image Comics of the world out there in the comic industry. So we wanted to set ourselves apart. And by doing that, we start with Phase 0. So Phase 0 is a collection of multiple mini-series and one-shots that are kind of our kicking off point, our starting point. And we wanted to tell you about those comics because these are the comics that we've worked on that have scripts, that have fully fledged story ideas, and are being written and will be coming out, some of them in 2024 and the rest in 2025. And then we'll be kicking off into Phase 1 right after. But what is Phase 0? What are the comics? What are the titles? What are we getting? I'm so excited for this. This is the big moment for me. So here it is. You can see the graphic. So we're going to get into just these amazing series. Now you can see that there are 3 specific titles here that say Tribal T. Tribal T is a very unique and just wild universe that I'm so giddy to tell you guys about, because it is really strange, weird, wild, epic, just ridiculous at times, and it's also like grounded in the most wonderful, tragic ways, dramatic ways. There's so many great moments that we've come up with as characters and storytelling in this specific franchise by itself. And this, of course, is the Vision Infinite imprint titles. So, what about all the rest of these? Let's get into them. Let's do them one by one here. So we're going to start with the sort of main Prime, Vision Prime titles. This will be Red Dagger, Obsidian, Veil for Origins, and Damien Devil. And then our Vision Infinite title, Oni, Born of Darkness, and the major final miniseries that is sort of our first ever like crossover. It's not so much a crossover as it is just a we can't really spoil things for the future, right? So the island is grandly important to the interconnected stories and the stories moving forward in Phase 1. So this is sort of a big kickoff for the next phase, and it's called The Island. And we're going to get into these a little bit more here in a second. But there's also Tribal T Genesis, Tribal T the Spoon Girl, and Tribal T the Queen's Gambit. All right, let's get into each of them individually. Let's start with the Tribal Ts, because this is where I'm really excited to tell you guys about these ones, because they're just wild. Tribal T Genesis sees a group of misfit ex-cons who are roped into dealing with a psychopathic madman's grand plan to become the world's first superhero. He wants to pretend that he is Superman, but we all know the truth, and that he is a psycho who doesn't care who he who he hurts, who he targets, and unfortunately, our ex-cons are wildly linked to this bad guy, and they are forced to deal with him or face the consequences. And Tribal T Genesis gets wild, and it is filled with comedic elements, heartfelt elements, intense moments, action moments, wacky moments, and wild moments that are just insane. This series, this franchise, is inspired by titles like Doom Patrol, Suicide Squad, Deadpool, The Boys, so many others. It is the ultimate wild franchise full of just insane things, and that'll become a little bit more evident as we talk about these next 2 one-shot comics that are not so much spin-offs, but are set in the same world, and they tell their own individual stories. So first up, Tribal T the Spoon Girl. This is written by my amazing partner in crime, who is my co-author for a lot of the main series in the Vision Comics universe. and is also one of our lead authors. His name is Bailey. He is an amazing writer, and he came up with this incredible idea called The Spoon Girl. This is a story about a young woman who's kidnapped from an early age and gets sold into human trafficking. But she manages to escape, but not before, unfortunately, suffering some mental consequences. She develops schizophrenia, and as she grows into an adult, her schizophrenia slowly projects itself onto inanimate objects. And one day, while coming across a gigantic spoon that is from a weird and wild antique store, she projects her schizophrenia onto this spoon, who convinces her to seek justice for the wrongs that were done to her in her life that had led to her mental afflictions. And she decides to become the hero known as the Spoon Girl. She uses this spoon to literally dish out justice in the most wild, crazy, and intense ways. And if you think that's a wild synopsis, you guys have no idea what you're really truly in for when you start to read these comics, because they go even crazier, even wackier, and even more intense. This is a dark story with some wild comedic elements that you'll never see coming, and it is just a ton of fun. I'm so excited for you guys to read that one, as well as my one-shot comic known as The Queen's Gambit. The Queen's Gambit is about a young woman who is a young actress who is relatively popular in Hollywood, when one day she is granted and gifted a special superpower of telekinesis. But everybody in the world seems to suddenly turn on her because she's now different. And it gets crazy. We make fun of some awesome, hilarious romantic comedy tropes in this story, as well as other very unexpected things that we're doing with it. And it's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait for you guys to get into that comic more as well. The Tribal T universe is just rife with tons of opportunity, and we have a ton of great stories. We're in fact going to talk a little bit more about Tribal T after Phase 0 to kind of just show you a little bit more about that awesome, wild, wacky franchise. But let's keep talking about the other comics and miniseries in this Phase 0. So, we're going to start with our very first ever comic. This is the big one. I made a bold choice to center our very first story around a character who's maybe not the good guy, maybe not the hero. Red Dagger Obsidian is the origin of evil. That's all I want to give you guys for right now, because it is a very important comic, and it is the very first comic that is coming from Vision Comics. It is a one-shot comic that I have written personally, and it is the beautiful beginning of an epic interconnected universe. And then it's followed by the most important story here, Veil 4 Origins. This is about a group of teenagers who decide they need to take up arms and become vigilantes in order to take down a local drug dealer. This story is full of gritty, intense heroism, and it is all about what happens when kids who are too young to do the job of heroes are forced into kind of feeling like they have to do the job. And how does that affect them as people? How does it affect the world around them? And what else happens because of these events? It's very, very important, and we can't wait to show you more about this miniseries. And then we get into Oni, Born of Darkness. What happens in a parallel universe when in one universe someone is a hero, but in this universe things turned out a different way? We explore the origin of an anti-hero, a violent, dark anti-hero. Why did he become who he is? Why did he choose the path that he chose? And what differences from our universe in one place where he was a hero would separate him and make him an anti-hero in another universe? This miniseries is also written by the incredibly talented Bailey Fox, who is my partner in crime. And that's not all. We got 2 more comics here to talk about. Damien Devil. This is a wild story about a vigilante who is born from an interesting place. This character and his brother are gangbangers. Yep, that's right. They are the sort of not in the healthy arena of how to become a hero, but one character decides that he can't stand to see his sibling fall down the path of crime and violence and tries to do something about it by taking down the rest of the gang that his brother is still stuck in. But what happens to that hero when his secret, his identity, his entire life suddenly becomes in jeopardy because he wanted to save his brother? So that's the one-shot comic of Damien Devil. It's a pretty wild and intense, gritty comic story that I'm really excited to tell, because it's actually going to have a special impact later down the line in Phase 1. It could have been a Phase 1 comic even if I wanted to, but hey, it's a one-shot, and the idea is there. It's almost finished. I'm ready to script it out. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? We're going to add this as part of Phase 0 just to kind of round out the awesome storytelling in this first phase. And then the island, the mysterious island. A bunch of children go missing. But where and why? The dark secrets that lie on the island are unbelievable. They lead us towards a path that will change the world as we know it. That is the mystery thriller of The Island. This is a mini-series that will kick off the major storytelling components of our interconnected superhero universe, and I can't wait for you guys to see this one. So this one's, of course, coming last, as it'll end Phase 0. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Tribal T, and then I'm going to talk a very, very short amount about Vision Books, and then that's the wrap-up. So let's do this. Okay, so Tribal T. Now, you guys can see this new graphic we have here. These are the new main series, that you're going to be seeing from Tribal T, the Tribal T core series, Genesis, which leads into the core series, and then, of course, 3 spin-off major series entitled Tribal T, The Extraordinary, Tribal T, A Heist Gone Wrong, and Tribal T, Narcotic. That last one's super fun, and the title so badly does not represent what the story is actually about, and it is a perfect example of why this series is so wacky and wild and so interesting, and we're going to get into that in a little bit here, because I'm actually going to tell you a little bit, just a little bit, about each of these main series. Tribal T Genesis, you guys already know, this is where we meet our main characters. This is where we set up the story that will play out in the main book, Tribal T. Tribal T is going to have a ton of crazy, wild, and wacky experiences for our new main characters. This group of characters is set on a journey that they never asked for, that they never knew was going to come their way, and they are thrust into a world that doesn't make any sense to any of them, but they have to deal with it anyway, and it is going to be epic and intense and wild and hilarious, and I can't wait to get into more of that series. But that's not all, because we have our other offshoot series. These series, starting with Tribal T, The Extraordinary, have a lot of expansion to this world, and we can't wait to get into it, because there's some wild and crazy things that are just no person in their right mind would ever come up with. But we're absolutely crazy, and we do random shit, and we come up with crazy, weird stuff. And hey, it actually works because the storytelling itself is serious. There's serious core storytelling to it that makes these narratives actually connectable. You can connect with these characters, connect with these stories, and relate to things that happen in them, even though they're so fantastical, weird, and strange. So, The Extraordinary is about a group of newly minted superheroes who get pulled into fighting against a serial killer known as the Snowman. The Snowman is out to get people with powers. He's prejudiced. He doesn't want to live in a world that is stuck with superpowers and mutations. So he aims to try and kill them, but is foiled when he comes up with a guy with a noble heart. And it is insane, wild, and full tilt wacky, and I can't wait to tell you more about it. Then we have Tribal T, A Heist Gone Wrong. This story is by far the most comedic, strange, and wild story we have in our repertoire. This is about a group of supervillains who try to pull off a heist, but absolutely everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And it is a wild, intense, and stupid ride full of just insane things. And it has some crazy twists that you might never see coming. Speaking of a crazy twist you might never see coming, Tribal T, Narcotic. Now these is a trilogy of graphic novels set in the Tribal T universe with a character called Narcolepsy Guy. Yes, you heard that right. There's a guy who has become a popular supervillain, and he doesn't have any superpowers. He just has narcolepsy. And it gets him into some crazy situations. But once he falls into some money, he decides that he's going to start an energy drink company. An energy drink company whose sole purpose is to create an energy drink so powerful that it would combat narcolepsy. He comes up with his special energy drink called Narcotic. This is fully crazy and without full context just sounds wild and dumb. But trust me, there are some crazy, awesome stories being written here. So this is also one of our series written by the amazingly talented Bailey Fox, my partner in crime. I know I've said that like about 1,000 times, but I just want to make sure you guys know that it's not just me who's writing everything. There are other awesome authors, and we're going to have some other awesome authors in the future here as well. I'm really excited about the future of the writers and the artists who are going to be joining us and being a part of our team in the future, and the incredible, crazy, possible stories that we can tell within the Tribal T universe or the Vision multiverse. So there you go. There's Vision Comics. There's your first look. You actually guys get a ton of story details we've never told anybody. So you this is a huge moment for us. So you guys get a first look, a sort of peek behind the curtain of Vision Comics. But we have one last little thing to touch on that is special for some of my old friends who are wondering when I'm going to finish a certain something. And I'm finally going to be able to tell you now. So here we are in the final section of this video. Vision books. I told you guys before that we decided we wanted to bring in a special tiny little subset of Vision Comics that is all about books and stories and short stories and fan fiction stories as well. Make that very clear. Because some of these are stories that are completely original even, but are set in a universe that we do not own. So these are completely free stories. They're completely fan-made and fan-written stories from us. But there's some completely original, brand new stories as well here too. So, according to this new graphic, you guys are getting to see some pretty cool stuff here. Resident Evil, the fan fiction rewrite. We are literally rewriting, as a fan fiction, the entire video game universe of Resident Evil. We're starting from the beginning, and to myself and of course Fox as well. And I can't wait to do this. This is going to be so much fun. And the reason we decided to do this was because of another series that I have been writing for forever that I'm finally coming back to, and I'm finally making some massive changes. I have grown so much as a writer since the last time I approached this series, and the things that I have learned are going to completely reshape everything. So I'm telling the story that I always wanted to tell. It was my first foray into writing ever was the Silent Hill series. I chose to create a book called Silent Hill Innocence. I had written it to its finish. But, of course, I was young. I didn't know how to write, and this was my first ever writing experiment. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went with it. And I created a story, and I just told it. It didn't age well, to put it nicely. But I was so excited to revisit this series and kind of rewrite it and rebuild it and remake it. And then stuff happened. Life happened. I stopped writing. I stopped doing a lot of stuff. And this series was just unfortunately the victim of me not having time, me not being excited enough about it to really go back to it and really revisit it and really finish it. But now I'm ready. I know what the story is. I know so much more about what I'm doing with this book, this story, and it is a part of a new project that I'm calling Project Reprisal. Project Reprisal is a new Silent Hill universe reimagined by myself. I'm reimagining classic Silent Hill games as new stories, as well as my own original trilogy of books completely being reprised and rewritten to fit within this new reprised universe of Silent Hill. It's all fan fiction, of course, so it's not canon or anything like that, but I'm really excited about the stories that I'm going to be telling with it because they're different, but they're still very, very Silent Hill. And I'm so excited to get into Silent Hill Innocence Reprise, and later this year, Silent Hill Reprise. Yep, I'm going to be retelling the entire story, reimagining the entire story of the original Silent Hill. And there's some fun, crazy, juicy story bits that I can't wait for you to experience. So, Silent Hill Innocence Reprise coming very, very soon. Actually, literally first chapter and prologue in January. Excited about that. But that's not all. We have two other actual original stories. The first off is an original tie-in short story called In Search of Madness. This is tied to a special music project that I have not yet announced, but it's a special concept that I'm working on, and it needs a story, and I have a story, and I can't wait to tell it. So there's that. There's also the Lazarus Protocol. The Lazarus Protocol is a original short story anthology that is set in the Vision Comics universe. These are special little short stories that tie into that universe, but we didn't feel like we could add enough to them to make them comics of their own. So we decided, let's just tell some short stories. Why not? It's fun. We own the universe, so we're going to tell the stories in that universe. So there you go, the Lazarus Protocol. There you go. That's Vision Books, and that's the Arkham Studios New Year Showcase. We didn't announce everything for 2024. We announced a lot. But there's so much more. I can't wait to tell you. There's so many other new things that we're going to be talking about across the year. Some things that we'll be talking about more towards summer. There's some awesome new stuff that we're cooking up. in every one of these fields, and I can't wait to tell you more about a lot of it. But for now, that's where you get left off with. That's Black Rose Records, Nerd Rage Network, Vision Comics and Vision Books. There is the Arkham Studios New Year's Eve showcase. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is probably a little bit of a longer one, but hey, you guys stuck around, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you so much. And hey, Nerd Rage Network team, get down there, description box below. You can find all of our stuff. You can also find a link to the new Arkham Studios website that'll be coming up. It may not be there right when this showcase goes live, but it'll be there soon. So just kind of refresh and kind of look at this video, or even look at the comments. I'll actually pin it in the comments for you guys, so that way you can kind of check that out at some point when it comes live. So, yep, thank you guys so much, and we will see you in the next one.